getting richer and the middle class is in demise, and that tracks on a fever chart with a decline in union membership, I think I'll write about that. No, we catch the scent of a good story and we chase it. Then if we have good editors, we figure out what we've grabbed by the tail and we start to make sense of it. Plus we have to get assignments and we have to get paid. That complicates the whole process. So yes, I was initially drawn to the story because I wanted to inspect the little-known dark underbelly of Smithfield Foods. I had been taken in by the folksy spokeswoman, Paula Dean. I had been impressed by the powerful CEO who represented on the surface the American dream. Joe Luder, born in Smithfield, took over his father's small slaughtering business and turned it into a Fortune 500 empire. But then the characters, plot, and narrative arc began to emerge. This was becoming a damn good story. The first was a young woman named Sherry Buffkin, elusive as hell, but so critical to the plot. So here's the context of my next reading. So Joe Luder had decided to put his huge slaughterhouse not in his native Virginia, but in North Carolina. Why? Well, he had been hit with the largest EPA fine, some of you may remember, the largest EPA fine ever given up to that point. And that was right here in Norfolk's federal court for polluting the Pagan River in Smithfield Foods. I'm not sure the Pagan River is it fishable yet? I'm not sure. Also, Virginia paid union wages. And there was widespread distaste in Virginia for industrial farm operations. So he needed 4 things that he couldn't get in Virginia. He needed a place where he could partner with politicians. He needed a place with easily subverted environmental legal restrictions because he had both a massive plant that was going to pollute and he had an enormous anticipated increase in the number of hogs raised near the plant. And that went from, I believe it was 2 million hogs to over 10 million today. More hogs than people in North Carolina. Only Iowa beats North Carolina. He needed legal loopholes that allowed a monopolistic or near monopolistic control of the supply of pigs, and he needed low labor costs in the plant. A right-to-work state with a history of oppressing workers, maybe even a legacy of slavery, would be just the place. North Carolina, with the lowest union membership in the country, fit the bill on all counts. There was only one problem. North Carolina had spewed forth a spitting, scratching tomcat of a girl, not unlike many other girls at that time, trying to claw their way to a life better than their mamas. But this one girl just happened to grow up to work for Joe Luder, and she was a beauty, strong, willful, smart, and blonde, not afraid to curse, pull a gun, or beat the living daylights out of anyone who crossed her. Sherry Wright Buffkin was born and raised in Bladen County, North Carolina, where peanut, tobacco, and cotton fields sprawled across a poverty-stricken flatland, near small towns where closing cotton mills had left behind desperation and welfare. Every day as a child and teenager, Buffkin looked smack into the face of that poverty. The country roads carried her past families who couldn't find jobs and barely had enough to eat. Joe Luder was 30 when Sherry Buffkin was born on April 6, 1969. While Luder's father had been a workaholic, perhaps cold and distant, Buffkin's was an alcoholic with a temper who beat her mother. Luder's father could provide his children job opportunities when they came of age. Buffkin's father could not. During the 1980s, while Sherry Buffkin worried herself through puberty, Luder, now a wealthy businessman, saw something shimmering above the flat swath of land just southwest of the Cape Fear River. It looked like gold. Buffkin had grown up on that river, sliding or climbing down rope ladders and chicken wire. Her daddy had strung up on its steep banks so the kids could get to the rope swing and drop into the water. Driving from home in Elizabethtown to Fayetteville, they'd pass that parcel of land and never pay it no mind. It was just 830 acres of nothing, right past the tiny town of Tar Heel, on North Carolina Highway 87, a 2-lane highway that wandered up to I-95, the largest north-south trucking corridor on the East Coast. My mama worked for minimum wage. If I got a shirt and a pair of shoes before school started, I was doing good. I was above all the other kids, Bufkin recalled. So there wasn't much to do but sneak out of her bedroom window or leave it open. So Bufkin got thrown out of her mama's house at 16 and married Davy, the only boy she'd ever been with. Her daughter Nicole was born March 12, 1991. There was little work, just an endless horizon. Of course, way back then, that Virginia businessman, with his obsession for building a pork dynasty, had never heard of Sherry Bufkin. But one day he would. One day he would know all about that poor little white girl from Bladen County.